Got anything else you want to add?
Not really, other than I'm going to save the manufacturing.
Yeah, right. I'm just kidding.
I wish we had theme music for that.
He's going to walk out of here with way more pressure on his shoulders than he came in with.
I can't sleep, Doc. Why? Because I have to save manufacturers.
If you're involved in the pipe and tube industry, you won't want to miss the Pipe and Tube Conference this May in Omaha, Nebraska. This event is an excellent opportunity to connect with industry experts, stay up to date with the latest technologies, and explore new business opportunities. You'll leave the conference with a wealth of knowledge and new connections to help your business succeed. So mark your calendar and join us in Omaha for the Pipe and Tube Conference. Register today at fmamfg.org. And now, back to the episode.
Hello, this is Dan Davis with the Fabricator Podcast. To my left is Lincoln Bruner.
Hello.
And today's guest is Seth Feldman, former high school quarterback, former high school point guard, and now successful metal fabricating professional with Wertzbaugher Services. You might find it unusual. He's young. We don't talk to too many young people on here.
He's 22. Yeah.
That is very young.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to find out what he found out in terms of what he likes about metal fabricating and some of the things he's doing. It's a pretty good conversation. If you stick around long enough, we have opinions on Iowa offensive football, which I think two of you might be interested in.
And corn.
And corn.
Yeah.
Pork tenderloin sandwiches.
And welding.
Yeah, we went all
Oh, yeah,
over
we
the
talked
place.
about welding, too.
Yeah.
We did talk about welding.
So there's also a reference you made to a welding training class you took back in the day.
Back in the day, so FMA would send all of us to Hobart Welding School in Troy, Ohio, just to get our hands dirty with what welding is. It was fun. It taught us everything we didn't know about welding. And it was pretty humbling, actually, because you'd get in there and you'd get a stick in your hand, and the instructor would say, okay, what you want to do is, get your location, flip your mask down, strike your arc, and get going with how we showed you how to do it. And inevitably, day 3 at the latest, the instructor would say, okay, so who didn't flash themselves? And no one would raise their hand, because you just would inevitably screw up and strike the arc while you're still looking at it with your bare eyes. That was humbling, but it was also extremely instructive, right? Because it was like, okay, this is what people are talking about when they're writing our articles. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we didn't do it at the same time, but I took the same class.
Yeah.
And it was always kind of interesting, not only from the standpoint of being introduced to welding processes, but also kind of getting a feel for what welders go through in training.
Yes.
And I think it's turned out to be kind of an interesting conversation. Do welders really need to learn like oxy-fuel welding?
Right.
And I think it's a decent conversation to have. I'm always more about well-rounded education, just about learning things.
Well, yeah, and the other thing about that school is you are instructed hands-on. This is what makes a good weld bead, and this is what's going to break when you're done. And you don't want any porosity in there. You don't want bubbles. You don't want it to look like this. You want it to look like that. And so, by the end of the week, we're laying down fairly decent beads, but you realize this is a lifelong process of getting this perfect.
Yeah, that whole conversation stemmed from that welding just isn't easy. And Seth was talking about how it took him about a good year plus to figure out how to lay down a good MIG weld.
Yep. So it's kind of interesting. The class, was it called Welder for the Non-Welder?
Yes, Welding for the Non-Welder.
So
that's right.
The mix of people in there, I'll never forget. It was a couple welding folks from like one of the big welding companies sent their app engineers just to get a kind of a quick learning, quick background on welding.
Go get your feet wet.
Also, a representative for the U.S. Coast Guard.
No way.
Who's like being put in charge of like repairs. It was kind of it was just a couple.
Nice.
I remember an old, I call him an old timer, but I'm probably his age now. That was back then. But he had all these stories. It was like story time. Like, well, I've seen this out there. And you talk about flash. He told the story about some guy watching a welding process from over like a mile away, ends up getting like the burn in his eye.
Oh my gosh.
Just not taking care of that. So
frying his retinas.
Yeah, it's something you definitely remember, and something that I think really helped kind of make us a little bit better at our job and covering this industry.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes you cognizant of what they're talking about, what's important to a welder, as opposed to just, any old topic you might want to bring up. You understand, this is what's pertinent to a welder and making sure they do their job well.
And at the very least, also respect for what those guys do.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, because as we record this, we just put out an article on the website about how teaching welding right at the beginning needs to implement like safety standards.
Yes.
Yeah.
People, a lot of people didn't take that in consideration.
Yeah,
Right.
it's definitely better to go home with all your fingers.
Yeah. Well, we get a lot of,
Although I'm not sure you'll burn your fingers off.
And
but
working
you know what I mean.
eyes. Yeah.
like the most feedback we get is when we run like a Getty image of, not the safest welding practices, and
Right.
people are quick to point those out.
Yep. Use your PPE, folks.
Yes.
Keep us out of trouble.
Yes, please.
So this is way more serious than the conversation we're gonna have with Seth. So in fact, we probably should have taken a hint from this conversation and applied that to our conversation with Seth. But nonetheless, it's very enjoyable and entertaining. So enjoy.
The look of disgust.
Enjoy.
Mark your calendars. The 31st Advanced Laser Applications Workshop will take place from June 25th to the 27th at the Suburban Collection Showcase in Novi, Michigan. This event connects manufacturers and suppliers in automotive, aerospace, agriculture, and the fabrication spaces. Enjoy 3 days of presentations from leading experts, cutting-edge demonstrations, and fascinating open houses. Discover the latest advancements and applications that are shaping the future of the industry. Visit fmamfg.org to learn more. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back to the Fabricator Podcast. Today's guest, Seth Feldman of Wertzbaugher. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, sir.
Wertzbaugher Services.
Wertzbaugher Services.
In
West Liberty, Iowa.
There you go, which is near?
Southeast of Iowa City.
Okay. All right.
About 20 minutes.
Hawkeye fan?
Big Hawkeye fan.
Okay, we'll get into their football
I don't
offensive
wanna
issues
talk about
later.
that.
Controversy awaits. Hang on.
We can talk about
we can talk women's basketball.
or Caitlin Clark.
Hey, that's better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
It is better, but it's funnier with the football thing. Anyway, so today Seth has joined us. People might be familiar with the Wertzbaugher name as Lisa Wertzbaugher, wife and co-owner of Wertzbaugher Services with her husband. First name?
Jason.
Yep. They've launched their own fabricating company, and she writes a column for the Tube and Pipe Journal called Executive Perspectives. She's written a couple columns about working with young people in their small company.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd be kind of interesting to have the input from one of those young people. Are you still currently young?
22 years old, so I guess you
Quite.
call that young.
Wow.
Yes. We'll call you young.
Yeah.
Compared to me and Dan.
Yes, it was only 13 years ago. I was 22. So you didn't have to laugh that hard.
Wow.
So
Such
one
a
of the
liar.
things we hope to do is kind of gauge your take on your world right now and maybe like what's ahead. So before we get started into like where you are now, where'd you come from?
So I came from West Liberty, Iowa, obviously, like I said, and I just grew up there, went to high school there, whatever. My parents and all of my siblings, I'm the youngest of three. They all went to Iowa, the University of Iowa, got 4-year degrees. So that's all I ever knew. So as soon as I graduated high school, played sports, whatever. I mean, I wasn't the best student, but I was a good student. And after that, I went to Iowa for a semester. COVID hit and online learning happened, and I got through the second semester. So I got through the full year, but I just realized that learning in a classroom wasn't really for me.
Right.
So I had dropped out. And Jason and Lisa, I at that point in life, I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. Like I dropped out of school. My parents and my brothers were still we're all graduated and whatnot. So I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just go work construction or something. So Lisa reaches out to me and asks if I want to come work for them in the shop and kind of see where that goes. And then later on, she offered me an internship. And in that internship, I rotated throughout the business. I learned how to run QuickBooks, which I found out apparently kids my age can just hop on that thing and just kind of learn how to do it. She was like, she told me to write up some estimates, and I was like, all right, whatever. She showed me once, and she was like, I took so many classes for that. So kids my age have these skills that we wouldn't even think about having, just because we're more like, we have a lot of technology. We're like inclined with technology and whatnot. So yeah.
How did you get to know Lisa in the first place?
Oh boy. So I've known her since I was probably like 10 years old. I worked on their farm when I was probably 14 and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I've known her forever. They're great friends with my family and whatnot.
So for those that don't know, Lisa Wertzbaugher's family owned a tube fabricating operation.
Superior Tube Products.
Yeah, for a long time. And Lisa really came onto our radar around that same time as she came back to the family business and helped them sell the business. So she spent time with the shop, so she has some experience with fabricating. So making that connection is, kind of both fortuitous and not so much because she's a family friend.
Right. Yeah. She has done so much for me. Like if I'm going to learn from someone, it's going to be her. And she has taught me so much, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome that you kind of pointed out you started out like with estimates first.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing. I started doing estimates and whatnot, and then I kind of moved into the shop, and then I kind of moved into a management role where I have some people underneath me now, and so I've just been kind of rotating throughout the business and doing the actual work. Obviously, that I love doing that, so I don't want that to go away anytime soon. But
how big's the company now?
Oh, let's see. We have, I think, 12 employees now, and I think like 5-ish report to me.
Okay.
So.
Wow. So did you take any? Did you take any fabricating or like welding classes?
That's
in
the
high
funny
school?
thing. When I first got hired, I couldn't even read a tape measure. I couldn't read a tape measure. I didn't even know the difference between steel and aluminum. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do. So yeah, I'm not a master at it by any means now.
What kind of parts are you guys putting out day to day?
A lot of stuff we've been doing lately is like production racks.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say the names of the companies we're doing it for, but
no, you don't have to.
We've been doing a lot of production welding, and it's racks that kind of move their product throughout their business, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so kind of walk us through the process of you coming in totally green, not knowing anything about fabrication. Now you're a supervisor of 5 people in a fabrication business.
Right.
For someone 22 years old, that's pretty distinctive. That's a pretty distinctive resume. Walk us through how that's gone for you.
It's been interesting. I've definitely learned a lot, and it's kind of being a manager at 22 and having guys that are older than you kind of reporting to you. It may be kind of awkward at first, but luckily I'm in a really good work environment where these guys respect me, and I've learned so much from them as well.
Sure.
So it's been a really, really good experience and good work environment so far.
That's cool.
Yeah. Did you, when you first got involved with the Wertzbaugher services, is there something that jumped out to you that was like, hey, I really like doing this the most?
I mean, I started off with trailer repair, which I still kind of run. I still kind of do that as well. And I honestly did not like that at first. I did.
Yeah.
We have these huge 53-foot dry van trailers that are all busted up, and you're in there popping out rivet heads and replacing side panels and bottom rails and rewiring stuff. And I mean, I didn't like it at first, but I've grown to really actually like it, and it's something that I like to do. So yeah.
Does the variety kind of do you think is one of the things that makes you find satisfaction in the job?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going into work every day. I mean, I know what I'm doing, but it's always something different every day. So that is something that attracts me, and I can kind of go from thing to thing and learn new things every day.
Yeah.
So that's something that really attracts me to that type of work.
Is the technology you're using? I mean, maybe talk about that a little bit, about maybe some of the machinery that your shop employs, and some of the things that you've had to learn to use.
Oh boy. I mean, right now we don't have any of the big machinery. We don't have press brakes or the laser or anything, which hopefully someday we will. when we put up our new shop. That'll be nice. I learned how to use a saw and whatnot, something simple like a grinder, like
Sure.
all that type of stuff. But I mean, some of the bigger equipment I haven't got a chance to get my hands on yet, but hopefully soon.
Yeah. And what is some of that equipment might be?
A laser cutter.
Oh, okay, in the offing, I got you.
Yeah.
I thought maybe in the shop.
Press brake, yeah.
Doing any welding?
I do, yeah. It took me a while to learn welding, but it finally clicked in my mind, and I'm actually starting to lay some pretty good beads. So
Yeah.
pretty excited about that.
Mostly MIG?
Yeah, mostly MIG.
Okay.
I'm not ready for TIG yet. TIG would be tough.
Some people never get there.
Yeah.
No, I'm really curious about like your mindset now, looking back for the past 4 or 5 years. The employment of people your age is a topic of discussion at every single forum that we host. I think every single manufacturing related seminar has something to do with Gen Z and all that stuff. Well, you being part of that, I mean, what would you say to someone your age who's like, are you kidding me? Go work in a shop? I mean, if you're looking to be sort of a quote unquote evangelist for metal fabrication, what would you say to that person?
It's funny because I would have said the exact same thing 5 years ago. Like, if someone brought that up to me saying, hey, you want to come work in this metal fabrication shop? I'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I'm going to go get a 4-year degree and get something in business, which I'm not hating on by any means. That's totally fine. Just, it's not for everybody. I would just say to keep your options open.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought in a million years I would enjoy doing welding and trailer repair and that type of stuff, working in a metal fab shop, but it's actually a lot of fun. It's super rewarding work. So
what makes it rewarding?
It's just seeing parts come in, you can assemble it all together, and you can see it go down the road knowing that it's going to go to a shop somewhere and be used. And that to me is very rewarding. All the parts come in, you just have a bunch of random pieces everywhere, and you put it together and like, holy crap, I made that. It's super rewarding work. Same with the trailer repair thing. It comes in, the trailers are all busted up, and then you replace them with the new parts, and then you can see it go down the road, and then you'll see that company's trailer on the road, and you're like, hey, I might have fixed that one. So
there's an element of instant gratification there, right? Like you can see what you did.
Exactly. Yeah. It's super rewarding, and that's something that I really like.
Cool. Yeah. Was there an intimidation factor when you first started?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember Jason, my boss, he wanted me to measure something. Like, he was like, yo, just go measure that piece of steel over there or something like that for whatever we were doing. And I was reading it, I was like, maybe like 19 and a half. I don't know how to read it. I couldn't read the 16s. Like I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was intimidating at first, but it's working with someone like Jason is really nice. He teaches me anytime he can. And
he's Mr. Hands-on, right?
He is Mr. Hands-on. I'm sure you guys have seen him walking around with cowboy boots on and the.
Well, I've seen him in the videos too.
Oh, in the videos, yep.
Yeah. He looks like he's walking around looking for something to fix.
He always is. He's always just like, if there's just
where can I lay down a weld bead?
He'll be judging if there's welding anywhere. He's gonna go up there and judge it. Like
we were talking about that yesterday.
That's all right. I could probably do better.
Part of that same conversation.
That's right.
Is, can I mention the interview with Jason Becker?
Yes.
Watch the Jason Becker interview. It's good. But so welding educator, part of many things he does, but he's talking about one student he had who refused to learn to tape measure because he was Mr. Metric. Now, I don't know what makes a young person want to have that opinion, but he later got a phone call saying, like, you were right about the tape measure. So it's a skill anyone can use. Don't feel bad that you didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Some people refuse to learn about it. So what was it like when you told your parents you didn't want to go back to Iowa?
I mean, they wanted me to get some sort of post-high school education.
Right.
And which I did. I ended up going to Kirkwood.
Okay.
So when Lisa originally reached out to me after dropping out of Iowa, and I started the internship, she kind of put me on a program where if I went to school, they'd help me out with payments.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I at least got a 2-year degree, they would help me out with payments. So that's what I did during the internship. I went to Kirkwood, which is a small community college where I'm at in Iowa City. I did that, and I'm really glad I did. So.
Yeah. So you're
it wasn't
like
even
a compromise kind of.
right. Yeah, and I'm glad I did it because I was like, school's just really not for me. I don't want to go back. But when I was in the business during the internship, I would go to those classes that I was taking with like more of like, hey, I can apply this to work. Like instead of just going in there like, what am I going to use this for? I don't know what I'm going to do.
Did you take some courses that had applicability?
I took a couple business courses that I used, but I mean, going back, honestly, I probably would have taken some like more hands-on courses. I wish I would have done that, but I kind of get to do that at work now every day. So
makes me wonder, like, if you weren't doing this, are there other places in the greater West Liberty metroplex that you might work in? Or
honestly, probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's West Liberty Foods, but I don't know if I'd want to work there.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked,
our new sponsor,
West Liberty Foods. This episode brought to you by. Well, what makes me want to ask a follow-up is, like, what do you think you will be doing in 10 years, and does it have anything to do with metal fabrication?
Okay, so that leads me to my next thing. So recently, Lisa and Jason kind of sat down with me and asked me what I wanted to do, like with my future and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like I'm moving up in the ranks. I'm getting more and more responsibility. They just want to make sure that I'm here. So they drew out which this is awesome. They drew out a 10-year plan for me.
Wow.
That pretty much consists of what I'll be doing in the business each year for the next 10 years. Okay. And for me, a 22-year-old, seeing something like that investment in me, like that's bigger than moving on to any paycheck or whatever, moving to a different job, getting paid, whatever.
Absolutely.
That right there is so important to me.
Right.
And that is why I will be there for
Dude,
a long time.
10 years. You can still be a young person. So
right. And a lot of kids my age, they don't know what to do. And I'm sure if they saw a 10-year plan like that, or even a 5-year or 3-year plan to see that growth, you're going to be moving around the business, moving up. Like, I think that would turn a lot of kids on to that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think awareness of the opportunity, the varied nature of the work. I mean, for a while, are you still doing the truck driving stuff?
Sort of. It was great during COVID.
Yeah.
Like the rates were through the roof and whatnot, but now it's kind of settled down. We still have 2 trucks that we use to shag our trailers whenever we repair them. We bring them back to the customer.
Yeah, but it's just the very nature of a small business. You get to do so much. Right. And then having the ability to work with somebody that has the foresight to kind of chart out that thing. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And having that investment made in you, I mean, how does that influence the way you treat the people on your team?
Oh, it's I mean, I love everybody on my team regardless, but I mean, I think a lot of these kids that are on my team, they see how I work and they want to be like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
How old are the kids you're referring to?
So let's see. We have.
Do they have child labor laws in Iowa?
They're over 18.
There you go.
They're over 18.
Which might still be actually under 18 might be legal now in Iowa.
I think 2 of them are 18, and the other one just turned 21. So
that's great, man. You calling them kids?
I'm 22, so I can't even call them kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, these whippersnappers coming up, they don't know what they're talking
Listen here,
about.
son.
Yeah. So what's it like interacting with people that age? And is it, being that you might be like their superior or supervisor, supervisor better, but, is it kind of a built-in respect being that like they see the success you're having? And
I think so. I mean, the high school kids especially, I think they kind of look up to me in a way. I mean, obviously, I'm not going around like, hey, you got to do this, do that.
I can be like Seth.
Yeah, I can.
Everybody.
You're lording it over them. Like, you know who's in charge here, don't you?
I mean, yeah, you could say I'm in charge, but like it's
like a
teamwork.
team effort.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and it's nothing like that. It's a super chill work environment.
Yeah.
So
So Lisa kind of described some of the interactions you have in terms of I think that using the phrase you did, chill, and it kind of is a healthy back and forth.
Yeah,
nothing
absolutely.
really aggressive, but the age disparities don't seem to be a negative so much.
No,
maybe
no.
between Jason and you and
No,
maybe some
no,
of the
no.
younger folks.
And it's funny, they'll bring up something from some of the older guys when they're talking. They'll bring up something from 1980 something. None of us were born, and they're like, "Oh, you've seen that, right?" Like, no, we have not seen that movie. We have not heard that song.
It's
We
not
don't know what you're talking about.
It's not streaming.
Walk in, there's a list of things not to address anything before 1985.
There's a list of movies that Jason has made out that I need to watch. Apparently, I'm sure they're not appropriate. To
Raiders
say
of
on
the
this
Lost
podcast, but-
Ark. You need to watch Star Wars.
Is there anyone you can share?
bro. I don't think so.
Oh.
Porkies?
We'll talk after.
There you go.
We'll
So-
delete that out.
So have you had successful conversations with friends about what you do, and they're like, "Dude, I had no idea." Like, what's it been like to describe to people that don't know metal fabricating what you're doing for a living now?
I kind of I tell them what's going on, like with what I'm doing and whatnot. I don't get into depths of, which I probably should more, to get more kids attracted to this.
Right.
We're counting on you, man.
Yeah, yeah. So Lisa
You remember,
tells
you're the
everybody-
one under 40 we're leaning on.
yeah, right. Lisa tells me I need to freaking save metal fabrication.
A lot of pressure here. Yeah.
Just to let you know, we're all counting on you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, whenever I can, I kind of tell people about it, what my 10-year plan is and whatnot. I'll be jumping around, learning this and that, and how it's super exciting because kids my age, we want growth and we want to learn. At least I do. I'm assuming most kids around my age do, and
I would think so. Yeah.
especially kids that are in my shoes right now that maybe have dropped out of college.
Yeah,
They don't know what the heck they're gonna do. They might go find some dead-end job somewhere that there's no growth.
Right.
And I know places are hiring all the time.
Yeah.
And if they had some sort of plan for these kids to move around the business and grow, I think that would really, really have success hiring kids around
Right.
my age.
Was there even perception when you're in high school? Like even something to consider? Or is it just,
No. It was nothing I ever considered. And
so it wasn't looked at as like a dirty, dungy career? It was just not
honestly,
even in the thought.
Honestly, yeah. And at the time, our high school didn't have really a shop program.
No
I mean, they
kid.
did,
Really?
but there was new teachers every year, and I never thought of really taking any classes.
There was no champion for this sort of thing at the high
Right?
school.
Yeah, and I honestly think that companies should get into like the middle school age more, like.
Huh.
Because most of the kids in my age that went to those shop classes in high school, they were like farmers, so they were already
Right.
around that type of stuff.
They were doing welding when
Right,
they were
they
12
were doing
years
welding
old.
when they were 12,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
playing with grinders and stuff like that.
Yep,
And
yep.
that was just never something that I thought I was capable of. But
Huh. So when you look at where you are now as a business,
Yeah.
where you want to be, you talked about maybe purchasing a laser machine and things like that. What are some things that excite you? Maybe in terms of technology, maybe in terms of the scope of your business. I mean, what are some things that you're thinking, wow, this would be really cool?
I'm super excited to learn how to use all of the equipment, like all of the machines that we're gonna get. We're gonna get the laser, the press brake. We're gonna get a new saw. We're getting some 10-ton cranes in our new shop that I'll learn how to handle material with.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for that type of thing, as well as also growing as a manager. As we get bigger and we have more people to hire, I'll have more people underneath me and whatnot. So I'm excited to grow that part of my career as well.
So I've talked to one particular fab. I don't know if he owned. I think maybe he was the owner of it, but definitely like the president and a former football coach. And like his whole thing was like, when things start clicking, that's when you know things are going right.
Right.
Everybody's on the same page, and it's just kind of being a sports geek. It was kind of fun talking to him. So you played sports in high school.
Yeah.
Do you get that same sense, like when things are going well, that
yeah.
it's going well for a reason?
Yeah, and I honestly think sports are huge. Like I was the quarterback of my football team. I was the point guard in basketball. Like it was huge, so competitive, and I
Yeah.
kind of bring that to the workforce.
Right.
Mm.
And it's every day is kind of a new challenge.
Oh,
in
it
a way,
is,
right?
absolutely. I want to tackle every day. I want to work as hard as I can, and
Yeah.
like, because if the company's not making money, I'm not going to be making money much longer. So
Right.
That's kind of the way it works. You realize that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to your teammates about solving a problem,
Right.
just maybe you got an example that pops to mind, maybe not, but the idea of problem solving as a team, as opposed to bringing it all on yourself, or thinking I've got to solve all this.
Right.
I mean, talk to me about that team dynamic that you're working yourself into.
This is something I'm still definitely working on. If there's a problem that I think we might have and I don't know, I'll try to ask the guys what they think.
Yeah.
Because, we're a team. We can bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I've gone about it so far. And obviously I can ask Lisa or Jason if I want to really figure it out. But sometimes I try to figure it out on my own and whatnot, which sometimes I try to take on too much. But,
Did you
that's
ever
part-
bring that up during a football game with your head coach? Like, I don't really think this is working, coach.
That play where
Let's see. So this is a better environment for discussion. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it. No
that
fabricating.
that interception I just threw really wasn't my fault. That was
Yeah, that was a terrible play call. Terrible play call.
yes, good way to ingratiate yourself to the coach.
That you'd mentioned, I'd ask about your parents. What did your siblings think who had the 4-year degrees?
Yeah. So my parents, they both work at ACT,
Okay.
which is funny because I got a terrible score in my ACT. Cut that out.
Didn't you have any avenues to pursue here?
Yeah, thought I did, but my brothers, my oldest brother, Parker, he also went to Iowa. He's a computer science major.
Oh, wow.
And my middle brother, Noah, he got a finance degree also at Iowa. My parents are both accounting majors. So
Okay. Wow.
yeah, they're all studs in the academic world. And
Did they play sports as well?
yeah, my brother Noah actually was on the Iowa football team as a tight end for a while.
Okay.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Wow.
I mean, never played, but he was
Okay.
He was on the squad and
Yeah.
whatnot. So that was really cool.
That's fair. Did he play with one of the Iowa tight ends we know?
He played with Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson.
No kidding.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
That's pretty awesome.
Broncos
Yeah.
fame now. Yeah.
I think he still talks to Noah Fant every now and again.
Oh,
so,
wow.
No
yeah.
kidding.
That's pretty cool.
So there's no Noah Feldman football card that we could look up or anything. No.
We did make T-shirts. I got a big family back home. We made a bunch of T-shirts
Did you?
with his number. His number is 86, and the Feldman on the
Nice.
back. So that was fun for a while it lasted.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was about to talk Iowa football.
Here we go.
Floodgates have opened.
Before we get to that, no, one thing about the business I was curious about. When you think about the technical expertise needed to do this well, I mean, is the back to being intimidated? Is it something you look at and oh man, I didn't. That's not what I signed up for. Or are you thinking, yes, that's really what I want to tackle? I mean, just gaining that technical expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. Any place that I can learn anything, I'll jump head first. Like I'll just go right into it, learn as much as I can about it.
That's cool.
So I try not to shy away from learning stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
Seems like you're not afraid to fail. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I've done it a lot of times. So
Join the club.
no. I mean, I mess up at work all the time, and it's about limiting those mistakes. And I understand that I'm young and I'll make those. I try to limit them as much as I can, but just got to learn from every mistake that you make. So
Yeah. So you had mentioned wanting to learn how to operate like the equipment you have, more equipment
absolutely.
coming in. Is that including welding as well? I imagine doing some trailers, you probably would need some TIG after a while.
We do actually do a lot of TIG on the radius panels. They're up front.
Okay.
If they're ever cracked, they're aluminum. So yeah, we'll
Right.
do some TIG on that. And I've tried. Usually I'll let Jason handle that if I can't. I should start practicing just on some scrap aluminum, but
No.
I'll usually let Jason handle that.
It's
type
not
of
the
thing.
same ball
Yeah.
game.
It is not the same ball game at all.
How long did it take for you to get like comfortable with MIG?
Oh goodness, I would sometimes stay late after work and just try and lay some beads on some scrap, and I was like, gosh, this is not working out very well. Like for some, I can lay silicone, I can lay some silicone with whatever, a caulk gun and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I just could not figure out the welding thing, and after it probably took me a year and a half probably to actually figure it out, and I'm still not by any means the greatest, but I'm capable now, which is I'm happy about. So
are you good with a grinder? Because a lot of people say that they're not a great welder, but they're good at grinding out that weld.
Yeah, that is true. Just make it look like you didn't weld it. Weld it and make it look like you didn't weld it.
Did you, as you're going through this, did you use were you auto darkening element, or was it just like a old school flip mode?
It was an auto darkening.
Okay.
Yeah, they had auto.
The only reason I bring that up is I took some beginning welding classes when I first started like this thing, and like the whole concept of me moving my head while trying to keep my hands situated. Like,
you want to move your hands too?
I can't even walk and chew gum at the same time. So much less the
pat your head and rub your stomach.
Flip that thing down.
Right.
Well, when we went to welding school years ago, when FMA actually sent us there for a week, I mean, the instructor would say, "Okay, who didn't flash themselves this morning?" Nobody raised their hands. I'm just like,
there you go.
Everyone's got sand in their eyes. They didn't know how to.
That's
like looking the other way.
Like, what's going on? I can't see anything. Now,
yeah, it's an experience, but if anything, not only does it help you to get better, but just the built-in respect now you have for like welders.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I don't ask a whole lot of questions of welders because I know I don't have the knowledge because I've never been involved with a good weld.
Right.
So you read about undercut and you've seen it, and you're like, I'm not sure how we got here, but
yeah. Well, we had that conversation with Andy Weinberg from Miller and Josh Welton. They just talked about the nerdiest welding techniques that I have ever heard. It was all over our heads.
Yeah, it's very much a subject area that people are into it or deep into it. So you have that to look forward to.
It's a science.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Yeah, it is a science. I mean, I don't know any of that. All that gibberish. Jason could talk about that for hours, but I wouldn't.
He means gibberish in the very most charitable sense.
Right. Yes.
So, do you have plans from? They've shared like a career path with you. Like, what do you look forward to on that path?
So,
what are some of the exciting things that lay ahead?
This right here. I mean, going to trainings like this and having the opportunity to come on this great podcast of your guys'.
Thank you.
Man, you're good at this.
Yeah.
I like this kid more already.
So when you hear, like, we at the annual meeting, we have a lot of sessions that talk about how to, attract workforce development and like Gen Z generation. Does that resonate with you, or do you hear it and say, "No, that's not kind of what our generation's looking for. They're not speaking to us." What do you hear when you listen to those sessions?
Question.
The sessions that are happening out here, or
or in any session when people our age talk about attracting people. Yeah.
What do you think of when old people talk about making things cool? Because that makes my skin
I didn't want to offend Dan.
No, it's just like, if you're asking that question, you're not in the right position to say it because you're not cool.
Yeah.
Odds are you've never been cool.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about cool, that means you're uncool. Like a whole thing. All right, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. I get a lot out of these sessions. I mean, I try to take as much away as I can. It's not the most interesting thing in the world, but I mean,
that's the kind of talk that's necessary.
Right. I mean, now that I'm in the position that I am, I'm here for like moving the business forward and it growing. So I kind of can take away some of that thing, which is interesting to me. Like I want to see the business grow. That is interesting and that attracts me. So I try to take away as much as I can.
Yeah. So like here at the annual meeting, there's a speaker, Carlos Mendez, former Navy SEAL, and man, I just totally underestimate people's interest and love of Navy SEAls. Like the guys ask, like, anybody read my book? And like 100 hands shoot
I know.
up, and I'm like, whoa! And we had a guest on the podcast earlier. Yeah, read both of them. I'm like, okay, I'm way behind on this.
The Q&A after his talk was very
but like his
robust.
points are pretty valid. I'm not. Thank goodness we don't have to get into a firefight to learn these managerial skills. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of related to what you're talking about. Just having like chill environment. I'm cool when I use that word. But a relaxed environment where you can bounce ideas off. That's kind of what the dude was getting at. Right. So it's I think it kind of comes natural to some people. But the thing I took away from his is humility.
Yeah,
just to be able to kind of say like, hey, I don't know, and maybe you can help me out here. And Yeah, I lean on that a lot because you find this hard to believe. I don't know a whole lot, so I have to lean on other people at work. Like, I try to go out of my way. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, remember that time I was like brought you that brownie, and and hopefully you kind of build up that type of capital. It's
Right.
I don't think it strikes me as common sense, but I'm not so sure. The common sense I have for the office has been displaced by the lack of awareness I have in the real world. Where I have to be closely watched or I might end up hurting myself. But that type of thing, if not learned or known naturally, maybe it can be learned. And I think I hear some of that.
Yeah.
And so boy, that was a long path to get to wherever we are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable in your leadership role?
I do. I mean, I'll go back to the sports thing again. I was a quarterback, and I played sports all throughout, and I like to say I was a leader throughout that, and I got interviewed after stuff, and I was put on the spot a bunch of times, and teammates would look up to me. So I feel like, I'm not saying I'm built for this, but
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable in the role that I'm in right now, and I just try to learn as much as I can.
Well, it sounds like Lisa and Jason are empowering you too to kind of just take that
Really
on
good
and
point.
learn it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like an Oprah audience. Good point.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. That's great.
And I'm curious too, Seth, when you look at the environment that you're in, the work that you're doing, what are some things that you think just not to put you on the spot too much, but what are some things that you think, oh yeah, maybe we could do that particular thing better? What are some ideas that you've had that have actually led to improvements at the shop?
Ooh, that just put me on the spot.
Way to go.
You're right. I'm not very good.
You can say, I don't really know.
I mean, yeah.
I think we just broke it.
I mean, I've
just broke the Seth.
I'm going now. There's been like small ideas just here and there that I've helped with, like shop efficiencies and whatnot, and like what actual labor in the shop. There's like special tools that I've come up with to make a job easier in a way.
Cool.
We should probably get patented, but
Wow, look at that.
well-
What kind of tool are we talking about?
it's
talk
for
about
I don't know if I should share it.
It's,
I mean, it's for a trailer.
It's a dog scooper.
Yeah, it's we've got a few. Jason, he is a mastermind when it comes to making his own, like we call them special tools.
Right.
Just throughout the shop and like everywhere. It is ridiculous.
Like applications, like repair applications,
Yeah.
things like that.
So he's improvising solutions to particular problems.
And we end up using them like all the time.
That's
So,
cool.
Yeah, he'll be humble about it and say, "Oh, they're only one-offs and they won't work for anything else." But
Yeah.
true.
But you can actually eat cereal with this. Like you just, and are you? I guess as an Iowa kid, are you at all interested in maybe agricultural applications for the shop, or I mean, what in terms of the business that you maybe think of moving into? I mean, what are some areas that you may want to try to serve?
Well, we really have 4 parts of the business. We have the repair part, which is agriculture and trailer and whatnot.
Okay, right.
So we do already service a lot of the farmers around our area.
Yeah.
'Cause there's farmers everywhere.
I suppose that's natural.
Yeah, and they're always coming in with like a corn head or a combine and saying, "Hey, can you fix this up for me? Can you weld it? Blah blah blah." Then we have the custom welding, the production welding, and then so it'd be ag implement repair, trailer repair, custom welding, and production welding. Those are like kind of the 4 parts. Then we have the trucking, obviously.
Okay.
Have you ever driven a combine?
No, I've never.
Okay.
I should. I mean, I'm an Iowa boy, and a lot of my Feldman family
I thought y'all took y'all's driving test.
That's what we had to drive to pass the test. So.
This is a level
I'm
C.
looking forward to the day I see one wedged at the parking garage at FabTech. Whatever. All right, is this the part where we talk about Iowa football?
Oh boy.
Yeah, we can do that.
Oh,
what are we
boy.
doing?
We're
what
like
are we
40
doing?
minutes in.
Oh, hey, new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, we know that,
But-
but he like they fired the guy who arguably posted more points than when Tim Lester was at Western Michigan.
It's a tough conversation. I think there's some deeper conversations that need to be had, maybe about the head honcho over there. But
Oh man,
but that's a hot take.
Yeah,
That's
a
a
young
real
man with a big opinion. That so are you against ball control offense? I mean, you've seen it enough.
I want you to sling that thing. I want to see that ball moving around.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it was only so many years ago Iowa had Brad Banks. I mean, things were electric back then.
It was.
How long ago was that?
I was
Brad Banks?
Yes.
Like 10 years ago, maybe?
I was just gonna say I was a young kid.
You were in utero.
We're still within range of not quite 85.
That was like the first quarterback that I had like started watching.
Oh, Brad Banks is older than me.
All right, so that may be a while. But that was still Ferentz. I mean, he was still there.
We're in dangerous age
I mean,
territory.
he's actually seen the forward pass. Plus, they get so many tight
20 years
ends,
ago.
right?
Yeah, we always get the tight ends, but
Yeah, I don't know. They
the
run
O-line
like
was
well, though.
the O-line. Part of our problem is our O-line this year was not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Hopefully none of them football players watch this and come
I'm
beat
not
me
lying.
up or
I'm a
anything.
big fan of the big
Lincoln,
kid.
bring
Was
this
that
back
the
on
quarterback's
track.
name?
Oh, Deacon Hill, the quarterback?
I love that. I love man mountain quarterbacks. Can't bring them down.
Yeah,
This has been fun.
he's a big fella.
Any questions, Gareth? No
It's all you,
questions?
Dan. It's all you, man.
I was looking at Lincoln.
This is
Lincoln, any questions?
no. I don't even know where to begin.
I got another question for you.
What's up?
Are farmers around West Liberty more John Deere or Case?
So my Feldman family, I have a lot of farmers in my family. They are mostly Case.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, wow. Okay. I
You
figured being so close to the
turncoat.
Quad Cities,
Yeah.
maybe.
But
Turncoats.
that's tough. I can't speak on behalf of those guys because I have a
Yeah.
lot of farmer friends that probably rip my head off for saying one way or the other. But
Yeah. I like that kind. I like farm talk.
So here we go.
You
I got
have
a
a family.
question.
You come from
Oh,
a
we go.
family of farmers?
Yes, but my dad went to school, so I mean he worked on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
farm
but,
growing
like-
up. So I mean I wasn't really around that
Yeah.
lifestyle as much as
So
my other cousins.
primarily
and whatnot.
corn or like some ranch animals?
corn and soybeans, and they have cattle and
No kidding.
hogs and stuff like
Wow.
that. So
You've just described most of Iowa.
yeah, that's Iowa for you right
Is a
there.
pork
in a
tenderloin
nutshell.
sandwich your favorite sandwich?
What's that?
Pork tenderloin sandwich your favorite sandwich?
It's a good sandwich.
It's a pretty good
It's a
sandwich.
pretty good sandwich.
Yeah.
Can't
You can get
complain.
the
What's your favorite
Iowa.
way to have corn?
Yeah. Favorite way
Yeah.
on the cob. Got to be.
Absolutely,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Can't have it any other way.
Anything besides salt and butter? You doing tahine yet? That reached Iowa yet?
It has. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more of a plain guy. I like just the salt and pepper and
Yeah,
butter.
pretty good.
Good for you.
But
It's summer
Yeah.
treat.
keep it simple.
I think people, I'm from the South. We didn't enjoy as good a corn.
No,
More
Probably
like
why we're
corn
so
in a
angry
cup.
about everything.
that's why.
What?
And you
More
put
like
hot
corn in a
sauce on
cup?
it.
corn in a cup.
Yeah.
What does that
Yeah.
mean? Is it like a walking taco with a Frito bag?
Kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
a walking
We're putting-
taco
We're
is
putting
something
anything
else.
in there?
Yeah, like butter and chili powder.
Is this something you do at home, or is this like at a fair somewhere?
No. It's
Corn in a cup?
it's like a traditional Mexican dish.
Oh,
It's called a lotes.
Yeah.
street
Well, I
corn.
do- Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Oh,
served
okay.
in a cup.
But I've seen it also kind
I
of
think
like
when I
all
was
the
describing it, it
fixings
was
on the
eating
actual
something about
cob,
my
though.
elote.
Yeah, I was confused by the cup.
That's
thing.
freelance.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Wow. So we've covered a lot of territory.
Yeah.
Today.
Yes, we did.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask about the perception of like the trades, because a lot of people talk about that the trades are kind of looked down upon in Gen Z generation. Is that true at all?
You know, I think it used to be, but I feel like the tides are kind of starting to turn. Like
Yeah.
our best hires have been younger kids that are interested in the trades. And what was it yesterday? I heard something that like the average manufacturing worker is like 53 or something,
Right.
which
Right.
that's going to be a problem eventually.
That is a
So,
problem.
But
It's a
I do
present problem.
think with nowadays, I mean, colleges, I still think college is important to go to and whatever.
But the cost of college.
But the cost of college is obviously very high. And if you can go to a trade school and maybe your company would pay for that,
Mhm.
like mine helped me out with my schooling, I think that would definitely attract kids to that type of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think they're definitely aware of the cost of college.
Yeah.
And that's forcing
It's-
them to consider
Yeah.
alternative paths.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of them having the opportunity to know what those paths are. And I
Right.
think that's
I think,
kind of
that's
the
huge.
challenge.
Just knowing what your options are, like keeping your options open. Like you don't have to go and get a 4-year degree. It's not what you need to do. I mean, you can, but there's so many more options out there that a lot of kids don't see.
Yeah.
And thank goodness Lisa reached out to me because I probably wouldn't have saw it either. So
Right. Have you had any conversations with older attendees here at the FMA annual meeting to the point of like, wow, you're young. What are you doing here?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's talking to him right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
yeah. I've had quite a few conversations with some of the guys that are a little older than me, and I don't want to say they look down on me, but it's like they're just like, who the heck is this kid, dude? But I think they like to see that though. They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
the future, you know.
Even if they don't admit it.
So
Yeah.
Lisa's made the statement she would like to see more of that,
Yeah.
like just a better mix of people. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Got anything else you want to add?
Not really, other than I'm gonna save the manufacturing.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
I wish we had theme music for that.
He's gonna walk out of here with way more pressure on his shoulders
Yeah.
than he
Yeah, it's
came
like,
in with.
I don't feel so good anymore.
Yeah, right.
I can't sleep, Doc. Why? 'Cause I have to save manufacturing.
It's been great having you, man. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming
I
in.
really appreciate it. This has been awesome. I can check it off the bucket list, and I've been on a podcast now. So.
Yeah.
Well, odds are you'll probably have your own podcast in about 3
No
weeks.
kidding.
Yeah, we're always open.
Lisa's got that going for you.
How to save manufacturing.
Yeah, you'll probably have more answers than we do. That's
Yeah,
for certain.
and Iowa's
I
offense.
hope so.
Yeah, we learned a lot about Iowa today too. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of entertaining. So yeah, just a pickle on a pork tenderloin sandwich, right?
Oh,
Or is
yeah.
it mayo?
A little mayo.
I don't know if I've ever had one. I've kind of
It's
looked
like a
forward
pinball
to
machine.
Yeah.
Just keeps
Anyway, so thank you for joining us on the Fabricator Podcast, Seth.
For having me.
Where can they find out information about Wertzbaugher Services?
Let's see. We got a Facebook, just at Wertzbaugher Services. We have an Instagram at Wertzbaugher Services, and I believe we have a LinkedIn. Same thing.
Yeah.
That's WERTZBAUGHER.
Yeah.
Very good.
He's good at spelling.
Very good.
This is one of the reasons he works for us.
Because he can spell.
We
A lot of people can't do
we can't
that.
afford spell check.
Right.
So be sure and recommend us to your friends and tell them they can get the Fabricator Podcast wherever they get podcasts. Also, if you have a complaint, criticism, suggestion, request for a T-shirt or sticker, send it to Gareth at no, that's not true. Send it to podcast@fmamfg.org. All right. Thanks much, and
Thank you.
be sure to tune in next time.
So long.
Thank you.
The Fabricator Podcast is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, located in Elgin, Illinois. The show is hosted by Dan Davis and the staff of FMA Communications. The podcast is produced by Gareth Slager and recorded and edited with the help of Brandon Geyer. Sales support provided by Andy Flando. Additional production support by Elizabeth Gavin, Dana Weicker, Mary Diamond, Mike Owens, and me, Sarah Spring. Thank you for listening.
But if you're talking about cool, that means you're uncool. Like a whole thing.